Welcome, everyone, to the Path Town Hall. Path is an exciting new opportunity for us together to reimagine education as we know it. We know the old scene very well. It is part of our psychology. We can do it sleepingly. We wake up, we go to the school, and we begin the same old rhythm. Teachers mostly lead the way, and children mostly passively follow. Can there be another cast? Can there be another way forward? Can there be another process and not a cast? Because casts are molds we get into and then we don't get out of. I think the cast of education we have been privy to is rooted in the 19th century when the goals were vastly different. But somehow, once that building has been constructed based on a foundation, a particular foundation, then it's hard to move out of the building into another one. But what we are saying is that there is another way forward. There is another way to re-envision education, to build a new building, which is built not on a square foundation, but perhaps a round one. And children are more capable, perhaps. Children want something different. Parents want something different. Society needs something different. So we need to think of education in a very, very fresh way. So PATH has come out of 20 years of research in education. It is something that is working vastly differently. It is not just based on some notion or idea, but yes, it is based on a vision of a brand new education, which can have every child succeed, not just some. And that is, of course, one of the criterion we should have in our minds, that it's not about some children succeeding and other children really suffering, because for the parent and for that child, it matters that they succeed. So every single child should succeed is a goal we can all agree to and agree with. However, our current classrooms are not designed for that. They're designed for pushing a normal distribution curve, because teachers invariably teach to the middle of the class. Teaching a whole class is very difficult and to cater to every child's needs. Of course, there are a lot of pedagogies out there or thought processes that let's work with, for example, teaching children at their level. And it's hard to find the level of the child, because the more you measure it, the more you find out that it's not static. It keeps moving. It's dynamic. You don't know something today, and within 10 minutes, you'll know it. The moment you measure it, you move to another place. And so we need to be much more circumspect about the idea of teaching at their level. Also because the teacher, the classroom paradigm, the books, the materials, the whole gamut of how we operate is designed with the idea of teacher at the front, children following, and the teacher has to then address every child as a class, not as individuals. And so how do you individually tutor them? So there are lots of puzzles, there are lots of questions when we think of addressing every child. There are other issues as well that we feel should be part of every child's education. So the goal is not necessarily only about academics, academic proficiency. That also, I think, Ria is with me today, and very happy to have her with me. So Ria ji, Ria Gupta, she's an educator, and maybe I think, you can introduce yourself a bit. I'm assuming I'm introduced already. Please, can you share a little bit about yourself?
Yeah. Hello, everyone. I'm Ria. I'm Master Trainer at Getty Global Education and Training Institute. And we are pleased to welcome you all here to our Path Town Hall. I completely agree with Dr. Gandhi as she says that in our classroom, what we have generally seen that some students succeed, but some are left behind. So we have to ensure that no child is left behind. We need to move from rote learning to rooted learning. So without any further ado, I would like you to begin.
Okay, so we can all agree that education needs some profound changes. And I think that's where we are at with our learning, towards a brand new education, a different direction, a different vision forward, a different path. to education. So what are the measures? So we discussed that one of the measures is that every child should succeed. We're not saying that every child will be getting an A in everything, but can they maximize their own personal potential, given that's a whole class dynamic? Or is this an oxymoron? Just won't happen. So we're saying it's possible that every child can succeed and succeed much more than in our current systems. And this is definitely a direction we can go forward with. Then every child should feel their confidence, their ability to feel that they are capable of learning, that they can learn most things they set their mind to and work towards. The teachers are there as support for them and others so that they can be able to accomplish what they need to accomplish. Now, that's also not enough, because what we need is the children should, in this day and age, not just be endowed with academic prowess, but they should also be able to develop in many dimensions of human character. And that includes the 21st century skills that are paramount importance. You are working in a multicultural, multi-ability, multi-age grouping. It's not just blue collar workers, all of them of the same age pretty much, and the same cohort doing the same job every single day. People are required to think and beyond that to work with each other. And so collaboration is the watchword. And so is communication, being able to communicate with each other. That's also really extremely important. Children know their material, but sometimes they cannot express it because most of the time they've been passive listeners. They've not been active participants. There's not much communication in a class. Sit down, stand up, form a line, have your lunch. Those are some of the most commonly heard phrases, and some others, but that's all they hear all day long. There's no opportunity for them to connect and to work with each other so that they can communicate and learn those crucial skills. These are not skills you can teach in a year, right? These are not skills that you will learn taught tomorrow in grade 5 or grade 6, and suddenly you're very good at communication. These have to be multi-year processes because there's so many rich ways to communicate. So
Right,
that is.
I would like to add to that. I had this incident when I was in nursery. I believe there was one of my friend who used to sit with me. And luckily, she was my very good friend. And till my 12th grade, she was the only friend that I had. Like throughout my school years. But when I stepped out of my school, I found it so difficult to communicate with people, to talk to them, to express myself. So here, what Dr. Gandhi just mentioned, that is so important to develop all these qualities from the beginning itself.
Right. So PATH stands for purposeful, active, transformative, and holistic education. And I would think there's hardly anybody who disagree with the four terms here, that when you have them actively engaged, they learn more, but also they learn to communicate and so many other benefits that we see. Now, I'd like to open up my PowerPoint presentation. And here you will see what PATH is spelled out as. And we are calling it a movement for transforming education. Why movement? Because it's like everybody should be on the same page and everybody should be part of that change, and as collaborators work together for the transformation. It won't happen by some people pushing the agenda. Everyone has to be on the same page. And we hope we can make that possible. So, why does education need a transformation? We can agree already with the discussion we've had so far, Ria and I. And so let's go to the next slide. So, how will we realize that vision? And one possible way forward, there must be many more, is what we are referring to as accelerating learning for all. And that is a pedagogy, the how to. So if path is the way, if path is the canvas, then alpha is the paint and brush. How do you go about doing it? And how do we get there? So let's say I'm planning a trip from Lucknow, where I'm based. We're both in Lucknow right now. From Lucknow to, say, Chandigarh, then we can choose many paths maybe to get there, right? We're saying, look, let's be on the path that's purposeful, active, transformative, and holistic. So we can agree on the path. Then how do we go? We can go with an auto rickshaw.
Maybe.
That will take a long time.
Yes.
We can go with the bicycle going further back. All right. Auto would be, of course, more current than 19th century. We could go on Ikka, on Tanga, or so many ways together. We can go in a car, we can go in a jeep, we can go in a bus, we can go on a train. That's
Wow.
another possibility. And we can even fly. So the point is that these are different ways we reach our destination. And destination is, this very confident young person who is capable in so many more ways than we've been able to nurture in our current education. So this is the way forward, and what it is, we'll discover together. So first is the path. The second is the pedagogy, which is the alpha pedagogy. And the third thing we're talking about is the things we put in the classroom, in the bags of the children, in the teachers' training, and in the assessment process that make things tick in a classroom. So here we've got something called buddy books, and you'll soon discover why we call them buddy books. They're done differently, very differently. They're visual, they're easy for children to follow by themselves and with each other. Then we are also talking about teacher empowerment, which is vastly different in path process. The path process is empowering teachers every single day. And that we'll share how that is possible to have teachers be empowered every day, not just these ad hoc training sessions we do once in a while, which are also fine, they're necessary, but there are several levels at which the change is implemented. So in terms of teacher training, and teachers learn in a wide variety of ways. Then there are assessments. Assessments are the biggest culprit, I think you can all agree, that have been responsible for the ability or lack thereof in our children to feel their space and to know what they know, to be properly measured. But why measurement in the first place? So there are lots and lots of issues around assessments. We tend to, in education, do what's called maybe exam to exam cycle. So we run and do a marathon towards the next exam, and we finish the syllabus sometimes you don't, and then we're struggling to finish the syllabus just before the test. Then we give children 3 days off or something like that, and children struggle and work through the day and night for the next test. They come to the test or exam, they give that test, and then the teachers take a week to make their report cards, to tally the marks and put them in the system. Then they come back and they begin the next mad cycle of assessments.
Yes, I completely agree to that. But it was a hard time when we have to only study just to clear the exam and get done with that.
Yeah, exactly. And it's such a relief for everyone, including the teacher. Oh, thank God it's over. So, but it is kind of madness that's going on. And what could be different? I mean, that's the whole point of this discussion is there another way forward? And so assessments are another very big area of reform in path process. The other is the books that are designed, or the ed tech part of the program, because children today are very much on technology, and we can't avoid the fact that there is AI out there now, which we may as well embrace it. So how do we embrace it? In what ways do we have edtech and AI deliver the promise of this new age? So why this change is urgent, let's talk about that too. So we know what modern day education looks like. I'm not calling it old anymore, because there have been so many reforms along the way, and there have been positive reforms as well, many. But what remains at the heart of even modern day education, and perhaps we'll agree with that, is that all of the education is teacher led.
Right.
Pretty much across the board, whether you look at it in one country or another, whether the East or the West or the developing countries and developed countries, I think it is pretty much the paradigm of teacher-led education. So teacher is the repository of knowledge.
First.
Teacher is the one who is transacting that learning. She's explaining the concepts, and the children are listening and listening, hopefully, listening carefully. And they are ones then who are being able to absorb that knowledge, then do certain activities. Maybe, of course, modern education, there are a lot of child-centric activities, and more environments are child-centric. So what does child centricity probably mean is that the children are getting to have joyful moments together. They maybe they're doing projects, maybe they're working with each other on what is constructivism, which is basically think, pair, share, and work with each other as well. So a lot of things are happening. Teachers are making the environments more fun for the children, but majorly education remains pretty much teacher-led. And what's also interesting is that we see the teachers are highly active, but the children are passive. They're sitting there and watching, which is something obviously seen even in modern day education. And content delivery, we can agree, Riyaji,
Yes.
is not the same as learning. Right? So we have delivered the content doesn't mean learning has happened, because it's majorly relying upon listening. And what we listen to, and this is, research all over the place, that what we listen to, we remember only for a short term.
Right.
We tend to forget over the long term. That's Ebbinghaus forgetting curve. It's natural. But what we do, and this is well known, we remember more. Yeah. So the skills that we teach to, being able to recall something, being able to write a paper, are skills that are pretty much outdated. We can agree for this new world, brave new world we are in.
Absolutely,
Yes.
I agree to that. The question is that whatever they are listening to, are they actually learning those skills? Are they able to use those skills in real world? Or is learning or this classroom environment is just a matter of listening and giving exams? Or is this going to be helpful in their real life where they can actually use the main essence of the classroom? So that's the major question that we should think about. So that's where we have an alternative, which is PATH, purposeful, active, transformative, holistic education.
So who is active in PATH, the teacher or the child?
Child, of course, always.
Right. So the active part is very clear
Yes.
in PATH. And it's a definite alternative that we can look into, because here what we're dealing with is, instead of teacher-led, is child-led. Instead of teachers active, the children are active. It is not content delivery. It's more like transformative learning, in which children are co-creating learning with each other, and also by themselves to some extent, but they have the support of each other. So that has led to transformation within the classrooms. We had never, ever imagined that kind of transformation that we are seeing today. Of course, it is aligned with the vision, the holistic vision that is in the new education policy, and also in the Panchkosha. And that you will learn about as we discover more about PATH education. So a quick background, PATH was developed over 20 years of classroom research and was launched in the fall of 2022. That's not very many years ago. In fact, this fall, it is 3 years in terms of the number of months that have passed. It's the fourth academic session. We began our research work in government schools in Shamli, in Uttar Pradesh, given to us by the Ministry of Education, because, these kids had just come out of the COVID, and they needed to very quickly learn their reading, writing, and arithmetic skills that are referred to as the Nipun Bharat mission in recent years. And that has come out of what's called the new education policy, as you all know, new education policy 2020 of Government of India. So within that, some districts across the country were identified, 10 of them, that were called low performing districts of India. And lo and behold, when I approached the Ministry of Education, in particular, a wonderful person called Anita Karwal, who prior to her role as Secretary of Education was the chairperson of the CBSE board. So she was very contextualized, very interested in academic agenda. And when I shared with her, we're getting such tremendous results of the children learning to read in a month, 2 months, and so forth, she said, let's talk. And that led to her giving us 2 of those 10 low-performing districts of India, one being Shamli and one being Sambalpur. Now, that's important because we began our project not with the private schools per se, though it was developed at a private school, City International School, Lucknow, a CBSE K-12 school. But the first major implementation of that was done in a government school. And government school has its own, issues. Teachers are always very, very concerned about their children there also. They want their children to succeed, but the issues are different than, say, private schools. Private schools have their issues also. We work now with both. And so after that adoption by Shamli, we were able to work with the City Montessori School, Lucknow, on a pilot basis for 2 years. Now we are serving some 22,000 children with PATH pedagogy. And We are also in 8 countries now. We are backed by UNESCO, NEP 2020, NCF 2022 and 23, and the OECD research, plus our own validation by Harvard Graduate School of Education. So here is a video. So can you please, now it's your turn to give your comments on what is the difference that you see in this classroom versus the classrooms that we normally witness. So can you please write down in chat? Yes, from Harikaran, lots of interaction. From Anushri, activities instead of books. From Priyanka, more engagement of students. Sneha, experiential learning. And Roli saying that normal classrooms are teacher-led, whereas these classrooms are student-led. Okay. Yep, these are some of the things you have been noticing. It's activity-based, it's experiential, and it's learning with fun. So I think we can agree that this is what we really possibly want, active classrooms where children are learning and learning with each other. They are noisy classrooms, but they are productive in terms of learning. So it's a productive noise rather than a disturbing noise where learning is not happening. They're not chit-chatting. They're actually focused on the job. Will learning be more in this way, Riyaji, or will it be the same or less?
It would be a lot more than we can usually think of. You can see there was a lot of noise, as ma'am mentioned, that it is with purpose. They are not just wasting time running around, pulling each other hair. No, they're not doing that. They're actually discussing. They're actually helping each other, asking questions, and also if you notice that they were, did you see that high five? That's the best part. I love that when I get to know that I did well, right?
Absolutely perfect. Now we'll do a fun interactive activity with each other. And I'm going to go back to my PowerPoint presentation. And we're going to do the activity which is called Fun with Names game. Okay, here we are. So Funs with Name game. And basically, Ria is my partner here. And here is the name of Sumita, who is a friend, a colleague.
Yeah.
Since you're in your own, single spaces, you may not have your partner with you, but think of a potential partner who's working with you. So in this case, Ria and Sumita are the two partners. So can you write down the first names, your first name on a sheet of paper and your partner's first name on that sheet of paper, right? Imagine a partner name and write it down. So here it's Ria and Sumita. Okay, I can see people at work. Excellent. Once you've written the two first names, cross out any duplicate letters. Keep it just once. Every letter keep just once. like in Ria and Sumita, the I was common, so one I is left, not two, and A was common, so one A is kept, not the second A, right? So now you have unique letters. In our case, it is 8 letters. Now put a box around the 8 letters, and we're going to now do a timed fun activity. So in 3 minutes now, think of all the words that you can make that are 2-letter words, 3-letter words, meaningful, of course, not names of people, but nouns, verbs, anything, adjectives, 3-letter words, 4-letter words, 5-letter words, 6-letter words, any number. You can repeat a letter. That's not a problem. Now you've got your unique letters. You can repeat any one of them as many times as you wish. So make as many words as you can without using proper nouns, people's names, especially no people's names.
Okay, your timer starts now.
How long do we have here?
3 minutes.
3 minutes. Okay, so 3-minute activity.
I can see a lot of focused people here. I think they can do it much earlier than expected. 3 minutes is a long time. Can we just do it to 30 seconds? What do you say?
Then let them do it. It's okay. I think they're now absorbed in it.
Okay.
Yeah, it's a fun activity for the children to do. And we're talking about, grades, any grades actually, if kindergarten off. Even grade 5 children will enjoy such an activity. We enjoy as adults.
Oh, yes, we
Mhm.
do.
Mhm. Ria, 3 minutes up.
1 minute to go.
Not to scare you. Teachers may always give more time. They can feel the
Yes.
mood of the class. If everybody's on task, then don't push it.
Yes. Time's up.
Okay. So now can you type the biggest word in chat that you could make? The biggest word that you could make. Each one of you. 4-letter, 5-letter, 6-letter, 3-letter, as you wish. So lovely to see a young person here with us. Wonderful. Priyanka, is that your son? How awesome. I love it. No, it's great. It's great. Now you have a partner there with you. Wonderful. Okay, so what words did you make? Let's see. Interactive. Wow, Smita, that's huge. Long word. Then we have DUNG. Star. Sneha. Hirsch. Okay. Hall. Kin. Learning. As it is. Okay, Bushra. Neat with a K. Then you've got dung, nag, dug, seed, tram, stair, atrium, that, omega, some mega game. My goodness gracious me. Make, neat. Wow, this is amazing. Now, let's do a comparison with our normal way of doing an activity that builds vocabulary. How would we normally do it? Would we give a dictation, for example?
Yes.
Right? So we'll say, okay, children, next 5 words on the board, write it in your book.
Yeah, and the child will just write it and wants to get done with it as quickly as possible. That's it. But
Or-
was he learning? Was he knowing those words? I don't think so.
Or you may come in the morning and say, okay, I'm going to dictate these 10 words to all of you. Please write it down. And then she'll or he will put up the list of correct spellings for those 10 words. And then you can either check your own work, which will be a luxury, or mostly it'll be the teacher who will check it for you.
Right.
I'd say it's a luxury when you can check your own work or each other's work. It's really nice because you're interacting with each other. It's not about mistakes. Mistakes should be seen as a problem.
Never, never. We are now an LO1 and we are still making so many mistakes. So I don't think it's a problem. It's a part of the process, right?
Mistakes should be seen as normal. We all make mistakes and we learn by making mistakes. My daughter, when she was very young, and she was in kindergarten, and they had this kind of a spelling activity by the teacher, and she wrote NIEN for nine. And I congratulated her. I said, yeah, sounds like correct, isn't it? And I gave her a very good, thumbs up and all that, high five, maybe not at the time. But the teacher had marked it with a cross, a big cross. Now,
The red pen.
phonetically, NIEN is all right, right? We're not necessarily focused on spelling as we are focused on developing their vocabulary at this young age. So we stop the children in the tracks the moment we start judging them. And I hope you'll agree with that, that instead of judgment, we give them more opportunity to develop. And they will self-correct and they'll correct each other's work. That's so much more powerful than a teacher saying wrong, and that too with a big cross, and that too in red.
Red. I remember that.
That's like a scar on the psychology of the child. So we in PATH say, look, let's not give red crosses. Firstly, we should throw away all the red pens and replace them with green. If you must use external validation. But even better that we have the children self-check and check with each other. You can always provide the control of error. Look, here are the right spellings. All of you check each other's work. And that's for learning and not for punitive judgment. And no crosses are required, just a soft underline. For example, NIEN, a soft underline, gets to my daughter and she says, oh, I think I did something wrong. What did I do wrong? I'll ask my partner, right? And that's so much richer and that'll be more permanent because it's interactive and mistakes are part of life. They're not seen as dramatically as we do in the current system. Children fear making mistakes because they'll get reprimanded. Somebody will say, not done your job well, right? Well, they should be able to say, oh, I think I can improve on this.
Right.
Okay. Any comments from all of you on this? Okay, so you've written that it's an opportunity to learn. And as learning steps, Poonam says, Nikhat says opportunity to learn. Then Indrani saying, yes, we agree to this approach. Okay, right. Okay, so let's move on to the list that we made for ourselves. So here is where we raise ambition for the child. We raise the possibility that they think of learning in a richer way. Okay, I'll try this once more. There's some learning factors for us, which we will probably figure it out in no time. But can you see my PPT? Okay, here it is. Okay, so these are the words we were able to make in 5 minutes. So there is this question in our minds. Should we give 5 words or 10 words, or should we give 5 minutes or 10 minutes? So the reverse, like instead of giving, everybody's going to write these 10 words. That's what we normally do. We're saying instead, let's give them 10 minutes and say, look, do whatever numbers of words you can come up with. Work with each other. We give them a little bit of a frame. For example, names of the two of us. They could think of names. They could think of words themselves, and they could think of just letters and put them in a circle or a box and make lots of new words for each other and by themselves. Now, this is an activity they can also stretch at home. So we call it home stretch. Something you've empowered them with. Now they're really ready to rock and roll on their own. They've learned a process. They've not learned the actual words. They've learned a process by which they can create and co-create words, and they enjoy that activity. So at home also, they'll make a circle. They'll put a whole bunch of letters in it, maybe the mother's name, the father's name, maybe the brother's name, and they will continue to practice making new words. They'll probably even consult a dictionary. That's not cheating. That's like, okay, I'm learning, so I can use a dictionary. They can consult the net. That's okay. It's all about building vocabulary. I mean, what we did, and this is the honest fact, we went to AI and we put those letters in and said, give us as many combinations as you can of 2-letter, 3-letter, 4-letter words. But doesn't hurt. Why doesn't hurt? Because it is not about cheating or not cheating. It's about learning, and it's about learning new words and making new words. Say, aha, I think I could have made that word also.
Right.
Right. So here, one of the activities we do is we have the children go from one table to the next and share their list. They may have a totally different list because they have totally different set of letters. And with some letters like Z and Y, they have less words. So nevertheless, that we're not comparing how many words so and so made. That is not the comparison. We don't want to compare children, regardless. We don't want to compare. But if they go and share, like Ria and I go to a table where two of our colleagues, this is a room full of people here helping me put this, wonderful event town hall together for you from our own office. So basically, the idea that children share means they also learn to share. It's not just about learning, it's also about sharing. It's about collaboration. It's about excitement around learning. It's about interactions that lead to greater learning. Would you agree? Yes or no? Give your comments, please, now. So Alicia is saying she's agreeing.
Neetu.
Hmm?
Neetu saying.
Neetu saying, yes, definitely. Okay. So we are beginning to get a lot of good comments here. So Neetu saying, yes, definitely. Alicia is saying yes. And then we have Smita saying, absolutely, undoubtedly, awesome. So I think we can all agree that it's better to give children time, not numbers, right? Normally we give numbers, 5 questions, 10 questions. We're saying, no, give them time. Let them find a variety of ways to find out and to make that process come alive and to maximize on their learning by using that process and then working with each other to learn more. Now, this is an activity that we can do in front of anyone, like when we go and go into a class and we are, as people who are participating here, for example, and we can easily do this kind of activity. We can even ask children, give me about 8 letters or 10 letters. So they will all contribute and you'll write down those 8 or 10 letters. That can be another way. And try to introduce some vowels in it, because here we have got 3 vowels and that makes it easier to make a lot of words. When you have only 1 vowel, it's more difficult. So keep those aspects in mind and we can make this. So this is the training that our teachers need, how to change that ever so slightly and yet get such a more powerful outcome from the process. So here you can see we made even using AI, we've been able to make very interesting words: artsy, stray, rusty, amity, smart, stare, starry. Okay. Right. So now we are going to look at how the empowerment happens in our buddy books. How do the teachers know what activity to do and how to go about it, especially in the context of children working with each other in pairs? Right. So how do they manage to meander through all this, because teachers are so busy and often they plan, of course, but the planners are in a file someplace. They have the dynamics of a class right in front of them and they need to figure out, what do I do with these children? We tend to go by the textbook. So we said, why don't we just include the activities teachers need to do within the book itself? And so every page of the buddy books has something called teacher notes or triggers, and in-class and home stretch activities. So in-class activities, can Ria read this out, what it says for this particular chapter? This is a beautiful story about an owl who lived in a forest. And we have a lot of personification, alliteration, a lot of onomatopoeia. There's just a lot of things going on. And here you have a compare and, no, it's a cause and effect. So over to you.
Yes. So, see, the triggers are already given in the textbook, so you don't have to worry like what exactly it is. How are we going to go about it? So you just have to follow the triggers and then just act it out. So the first trigger, as it says, look at the colors on the owl's wings. Each color links a cause to its effects. Second trigger, if you want more clarification, for each color, read the cause statement on the left and match it to the color effect on the right. Do not forget to color the Ausbildung with the same color as the cause.
And now we can talk also about the home stretch activities,
Yeah.
which are also given on the same page. Every page has these. So they're tremendous support, not just to the teacher, but also to the parent. See, often parents are not privy to what's going on in the class. At most, they will see one statement in the diary saying, today your child did X. And that is also perhaps copied by the child in a, in their handwriting towards the end of a day. And or their little ones, the teacher has to write 40 times. Uh, Done in class and for homework. And we're not calling it homework, we're calling it home stretch because there's a reason. What do you think could be a reason for calling it home stretch and not homework?
Because what we are doing here is that whatever activity that we do in our classroom, we are stretching it a bit. Whatever you have done will be stretched. Now you're going to do that same activity with the people around you at home. So that's how we are stretching. We're not giving you as a load of work that sounds like a burden to you, but some activity that you have done with the friends in your classroom will be done stretched a little bit more, and you'll be doing it around with the people around you.
And you don't need a tutor. You don't need your parents to tutor you. You don't need a tutor. You can do it on your own. That is a big mantra. Like, you should be able to do this on your own. So what is the home stretch written here, Ria?
Write a few causes in your notebook. The next day, your partner will read them and tell the effect for each one. So here is an example given. For example, cause, I forgot my umbrella. What would be the effect? I got wet in the rain.
So can we think of any causes and effects ourselves? This is a grade 3 activity, by the way, and grade 3 story on which this little exercise is based on cause and effect. So what could be the causes and effects? Anything in your life. I woke up late. The effect was that's a cause. Okay. I was late to school. Very good, Nikhat. Yep. Absolutely perfect. So here's Kia saying the alarm didn't ring. Oh my goodness. And the effect was stuck in traffic. Absolutely. Absolutely brilliant. Indrani, stuck in traffic, cause. And the effect is, okay, cause came to meeting late. That's the effect for Kia. Right. I forgot to bring my lunch, cause, Priyanka. Effect is network down late for the meeting. For Sneha, okay. So network was down and you became late for the meeting. So that's a cause and effect together. Fabulous. I think this is this a fun activity for children to do in the class and then stretch at home? So Priyanka is saying, I'll have to stay hungry. Right? Good home stretch activity. Thumbs up if you agree. Good, excellent. So I'm moving to the next page. Now, how are the parents being empowered in this process? So Ria can mention. Yeah, I see a lot of thumbs up. That's
Yes.
good. Thank you.
Of course, when you're doing all these activities with the people around you at home, first of all, you get to interact with them. Parents are there for you. They don't send you to a tutor. And there's a lot of interaction between the parents and the child. And there's no writing diary all the time. And they appreciate the opportunity when they get to talk to the kid, and they get an opportunity to engage with them a little more.
That's awesome. Yeah.
We have this video. I would really like you all to watch this one. This is such a fun activity where this 3-year-old is.
Oh, it's so nice to see
Yes,
that.
I love this.
I hope you will enjoy as much as we did watching this little girl.
Neetu Singh is saying that the cause was forget to fill the fuel, and effect you can imagine.
Yeah, I love it. Awesome, awesome. Okay, so the technical aspects of it are still working out. Right, not able to play this video, but let me just explain what's in the video. In this particular video, the entire family is sitting on the right. You can't see them. They're sitting on a bed to the right of the door and sort of behind the screen that you can see right now. And once in a while, this is like the family taking a video of their little one. This is a 3-year-old Montessori child, meaning what we call nursery in most of the country here. And the mother is having her read, picture sounds because we don't do letter sounds. So this child is decoding by herself all the picture sounds, and the mother's asking, the child is answering, the child is asking, the mother is answering. And this is so awesome to see. And the whole entire family is doting on the child. Now, this kind of scene, do you see this as common when children do homework? Is it like this or is it different? Any comments? It's different, Priyanka says. Yep. Harkaran agrees. Indrani, sometimes but not common. It's different, it's different. Okay. Roli and Bushra. Yeah. So I think we can agree that the general homework scene is pretty sad. Imagine the little child getting all the doting in the world rather than reprimand. Oh, you couldn't get this letter right. There must be some of these pictures she can't decode, except she did decode all of them.
Yes, she did.
Because pictures are easier for children to remember, and we all, as adults, also remember visuals easily compared to words. And so, or letters, the letters are totally unknown. So here's a picture, picture of a cat. What's the sound? The child can easily tell the first sound. Any picture the child can decode very easily compared to an unknown letter and the letter sounds. So we are not using letter sounds. This is vastly different from the normal phonics, and phonics as in like a huge variety of phonics programs are there, and they're all very good and excellent. They're better than whole language, at least in data. We are seeing that children are learning faster with phonics. And phonics, there are a lot of reading wars in the United States and different other countries as to which way to go. There's the science of reading, which is very popular right now, and still there are a lot of critics of that. The whole language, of course, phenomenon is less out there as at this point. Even in India, we're seeing a lot of phonics programs flourishing. But what we are saying is that, look, let's take another look at that, because the beginning is unknown, and beginning is what matters the most. For example, children don't know letters, so you wrote teaching them A, B, C, D, or whatever it might be, but A is not known to the child, B is not known to the child. Similarly, if you say B says B, that's also not known to the child, because B does not say B. B says B to me. It doesn't say B. So, and with the A, it becomes a accentuated B, but you're supposed to say, so you are like not even hearing that, but the kid is supposed to be able to make that soft sound with the letter B. So you are with the letter B, but B does not say B. So again, rote learning. So twice rote learning before they can actually understand, okay, these letters have sounds. So many of them don't even teach the letters anymore. They just teach letter sounds. So that goes together in a way. But nevertheless, it takes a long time for children to be able to pull out a picture, a word or a letter from a stack and immediately say what it is. While here, you pick out a picture from a stack and they'll be able to tell the picture and its first sound. So basically, we are dealing with a brand new way of engaging the child. So very little children are reading complete words. Yes, I agree with Priyanka that this is also improving their critical thinking skills. Yeah, please feel free to continue to comment as you engage with this content we're dealing with. I'll go to the next slide. Okay, here we can watch the video. You see the parents, the grandparents?
What is this?
This is duck.
What is the first sound of duck?
The first sound of duck is duck.
What is this?
This is an elephant.
What is the first sound of elephant?
The first sound of an elephant. Hello, my name is Ojal Singh. I study in class first A. Today we are going to learn some two-digit subtraction with our maths toolkit. So let's get started with my friend Tina and Toto. First, we have to subtract 22 from 34. 1, 2, 3. Now, we have to do 4 words. 1, 2, 3, and 4. This is the number 34. Now we have to we have to subtract 2 from 3. We got 1/10. The answer is 12. Well done, Tina. Well done, Toto. Thank you.
So how did you like this video and the previous one? So Sneha is saying different kids learn through different means. Some learn through listening, some through writing, some practically. This method does develop their cognitive skills. So the question is primarily, what should we be using? What should be our primary mode of dealing? Of course, this notion of some kids learn through verbal, I think this has been an interesting issue because Dr. Howard Gardner came up with this idea of multiple intelligences, that we as human beings have a lot of intelligences. He did not mean to say that there is only one way in which we can learn better, like, for example, visually or, cognitively. Some children have those powers a little more than the others. So some will become orators, some will become great writers, some will become great mathematicians. So there's no doubt about it. But when we are teaching them, what will engage and retain their learning more? Is it verbal for most of the learners, for all of the learners? So looking forward to your views. Yes, so Priyanka is saying through understanding and application. Okay, so let's proceed on with the idea that learning can be different. I am, not sure research is very conclusive about the idea that you teach in a certain way to certain children. So you don't say, oh, I can see this one is a budding writer, so I'm going to teach these 5 children in the verbal way, right? So this is where I think differentiating learning by ability or cognition levels of the child is, we are saying that that is something that is to be set aside for now. And you think of children as putting them in a very collaborative environment where you're not thinking skills. You're not thinking these kids have this skill or that skill, and differentiating by that skill. We're saying in this particular very energizing environment, in this highly interactive environment, that the children are going to learn a lot better, whatever they have to learn. And that in doing so, they're getting all the environments. So they're getting the verbalization because 2 children are talking to each other. There's a lot of communication. They're also learning verbally and visually and kinesthetically. So if you look at the multiple intelligences, what are they? So you've got analytical intelligence, you've got verbal intelligence, you've got kinesthetic intelligence, movement-based, you've got spatial intelligence, you can think in geometry, you've got your intrapersonal, the interpersonal, the naturalist, and also one more. So those are the 8 intelligences, and to that, Howard Gardner has added the idea of existential intelligence. So I was very fortunate to have him as a guest. I invited him to Iceland, where I was doing my first laboratory of a school given to me by the government of Iceland as a charter school, which we won the bid for. So in that, 2 schools were there, pre-primary and a full-blown K-12 school. So here, I wanted to pick the brains of people like Howard Gardner, who has floated this idea of multiple intelligences. We had a wonderful discussion. And one of the questions I asked is, why is there not a spiritual intelligence or any kind of moral intelligence? And he said, I'm still working on it. Then a few months later, we saw him float the idea of existential intelligence. So yes, interpersonal is there. There is one more intelligence that we have covered so far. That's movement. Movement is your dancers of the world. They are there. Yeah, but the fact is, if you can include all those environments in a single classroom, that perhaps the learning is greater. So everyone picks up what they need. You don't have to differentiate a class. And they will grow up in their own natural way, like different trees, Ria, right? One is a spruce tree, one is a mango tree, one is a maple tree, one is, every seed grows in a different way. And similarly, our children will grow and mature in different ways. But the question here is, what kind of a learning environment do we provide which is going to serve them all and better? That's the question. So a loving gardener sees this plant needs a bit more water, this plant needs a bit more air, this plant. So yes, the teacher must know where the child is, not feeling so good in a classroom, where the child could be helped a little bit in this or that. And that's where we have what's called reflection register of the teacher. So this is again different. Teachers do not need planners at this point in time, because all the plans are given to them in the books. As you saw, the in-class activities mentioned on every page, every half-page modules. They're frequent, and they are a very good guide to the teacher as to what to do in the class. And they're ready reference. It's not like it's in a notebook someplace or in a library where you have a resource center for the teachers. So here it's an ongoing support for the teacher, and the teacher can also keep, therefore, they do not need to make a teacher planner, which is what we normally swear by and have been doing, and every teacher does that. We're saying, look, instead, let's have a reflection register. So a reflection register is kept on the table of the teacher. It's a ready reference. She gets up and sees what's going on in the class. We say tiptoe around the class. Don't disturb the class while they're in action. But of course, you notice whatever is going on. You come back and write it down. Then you think and reflect and say, what can I do to overcome that particular observation? So for example, you might see two children are not engaged. They're not understanding what to do. Couple of children are actually talking about something else. They're not on task. So what the teacher needs to do is write it down and then not act on it immediately and reprimand them, but create the conditions where they will also learn. So those are the soft side issues that we work with that take a lot longer to change behavior, because teachers tend to be very immediate about telling the children how to behave and what to do. We want to launch ourselves in the long term. We want to bring out those behaviors in a manner that is much more becoming, that doesn't label children, that you're always missing your homework, that you're always naughty. We must not say those things at all. Anything that's a label like you always should be avoided. So even if you notice something that's not so good, and right now you want to say, look, can you please be on task? Yeah, that's okay. You can remind them. But one way is to remind the individual child and say you should be on task. The other is to say, everybody who's not on task, let's do, wave in the air. All the children will do their silent clapping, and then they'll center again and they'll begin again. So there are many subtle ways in which teachers can address what they notice, and what they notice, they write in their reflection register. It could be something they did not do quite right, because let's say in the whole class, only 10 or 20 children can actually do the task. That means I need to go back to the drawing board and re-demonstrate what the children need to do. I need to be much clearer. So there is learning for the teacher through the reflection register. A reflection register is also something they take to their grow circle meetings. And this is another way the teachers learn to teach in a better way. They learn from each other, learn with each other. And it has a beautiful structure, the grow circle. So once a week, teachers meet for an hour, maybe 2 hours maximum. And they are discussing in 3 parts. First part is the dolphin moments, we call them. What were the highlights for them for the last week? Let's say the meeting is on a Saturday or a Friday if the schools are only 5-day week. And the teachers will come up with their dolphin moments, what they enjoyed, and what was really something that was powerful, an anecdote from their reflection register. They've written, I saw this child who never wrote is writing like tons of work, and that was such a delight to see. There's such a transformation. Any kind of joyful moments they discuss in the first part. The second part is any difficulties that they ran into. So we call them opportunities. So they look for, how can we do this even better? For example, the things we discussed a minute ago, there's some of the difficulties they notice in the classroom, and they wish to discuss in their peer group how to improve it. Similar issues, they may have some perspectives, but the discussion leads to more clarity and perhaps more ideas and helps further reflection on the opportunities. The third part is actually planning, but planning in a different way. So it is like in your reflection registers, you can write down what you're going to do next week. So you look up the modules that you're going to teach in the next week. And let's say you're sitting in a cohort of grade 1 teachers, 3 of you, 4 of you are teaching grade 1. All of you will review the next set of modules together and see what are the prompts, what are the triggers, the in-class and the home stretch activities. And you will have that real in your mind, but you can also write down, oh, I think I need to ask all the children to bring beans from home, or for them to bring measuring tape, or I have to bring a bucket and a bowl for this activity. Whatever it might be, you make that quick plan. It's not like the usual format with the objectives and the activities you look, because activity is already given. So, but more about materials that you together, and to also recontextualize what am I going to do this coming week. So that's the third part. There is for the administrator a part called tracker that they need to fill, like where is everybody at, to what module they have come to, and what modules they have to do next week. So then it is like tracking the progress. We have a macro plan, it's called the pacing plan. Then we've got the micro, the weekly plan, and of course the very micro is the actual lesson. And they can always do something different to what is given in the triggers at the bottom of the pages. That is for us one activity we can propose. We don't want to propose too many activities. Teachers can come with their own creative ideas, but early on we say, please do not try to add to the ideas, because they should begin where we are at, so that they learn the process first before they can start adding to it. And so that is support and help for them. But it's not a constraint. It's not a no to come up with new ideas and to work with them. We encourage that also, but down the road.
Yeah, that is why we not only call teachers as a facilitator, but also a galvanizer, where they are providing the starting point and let the child flourish in whatever they are doing in the classroom.
Very good. So now we're going to do this together. You see, the phonics way is letter, and the letter is, let's say, C, and the sound is K. Okay. And the alpha way, the pathway, is a different way. So what is the pathway? So I'm going to ask as a partner, she's my partner in class, and I'm going to ask her a question. So I'm doing a teacher-child demonstration. That is the first thing we do. We don't go to the front and teach. What we do is a demonstration. This is really powerful, really different. I never teach alone as a teacher. I always bring a child out to the front and do a what's called teacher-child demonstration. Now, in selecting the child also, there's a process. So we don't just select a child. We have all the names of the children written in ice cream sticks, and we have them, or chits of paper in a box. So I close my eyes and pick a chit. And I say, okay, on this chit is written the name of Ria. So Ria, will you come forward, please, and be with me as my partner? So Ria will be happily coming over to the front. Normally what happens? So they know that it's time for teacher-child demonstration. So all the kids, me, I, and teacher invariably, unfortunately, picks the children that she feels will do a better job. And that is invariably some children. So they get a bigger chance and bigger, opportunity to come to the front. Here we make it fair. So if by chance, well, what we should do is, if Ria's name has come out, I'll put that on the side or in a different box. So next time I call some child out, it'll be from the remaining set of chits. So it's very fair, very transparent, and teachers should be always very transparent.
And that's how every child get a chance, and there is no such group and sitting at the back and not even caring what's going on in the classroom. Here every child get the chance so that they can come forward and communicate with the teacher. I really find it so exciting and such a wonderful thing to do when every child is getting a chance to communicate with the teacher and do an activity with them.
Right. Okay, so we'll do what a teacher is supposed to do with a child. So for a minute, let's say I'm the teacher and Ria's the child that got picked randomly from the jar. And so I'll say, Ria, what is this first picture of?
Is this a car?
Absolutely. Perfect. Well done. Okay, that is a car. So what's the first sound that you hear in car?
Car. Ka.
Brilliant. Well done. Well done. What is the next picture that you see?
I don't like this fruit, but it's an apple.
Absolutely. Good job. Good job. That's an apple. What's the first sound that you hear in apple?
Air.
Excellent. Excellent. Well done. It's not a, it's not it's
Air.
very good. Because sometimes we tend to call it a, which is obviously not the right thing. It's what is the sound that you hear in it?
Air. Apple. Air.
A falls out of it. So
Mhm.
that's good. Well done. Well done. What is the next picture that you see?
Is it a tub?
Yes, good
Mhm.
job. What's the first sound that you hear in tub?
Tub. Tub.
Excellent. Good job. Good job. Well done. Now, my last question to you is, what is the new word that you get when you add these sounds?
Let me think. Car. Ka. Air. Tub. Tub. Cat.
Wow, well done. Good job. Now, see, it is not done this activity. This is the first part of it. Teacher, child. Now it's child asking the teacher. So the next word in the book, the child will ask the teacher, not this word, the next word. It's not repeat after me. It's learning a process. I'm asking, what is this? My partner is saying, this is a particular picture name, car. Then I'm asking, what is this? The other person is saying, this is apple. What's the first sound? The second question I ask, what's the first sound of this picture? What's the first sound of this picture? What's the first sound of this third picture? And then, so I'm learning two questions, how to ask those questions. The very little ones also ask those questions. So what is this? What is the first sound? Those are the first two questions. And the last question is, what is the new word, right? Or what do you get by adding the sounds? And that is the third and final question that the child should know to ask. So sometimes the teachers have to practice just those questions so they're not mixing up the questions, and to go slow at the beginning so that they can speed up later on. So it's slow down to speed up later on. We must not rush this part of it, especially at the very beginning when they are learning the process. So here we are saying process is far more important than the lesson that car is car, right? That is not the objective of the demonstration. The objective of the demonstration is that the children who are watching, all of them sitting in their pairs, they're watching that what is it that I or we need to do to work in a pair. So first part is I ask questions, she answers. Next part is she, the child, asks the teacher questions. So in the next version, I think we'll put in more words here so you can see the second part. But for a minute, imagine she's asking, don't do the same pictures, but now she has to ask the teacher. So what will she do?
I'll just
Ask me.
any picture.
No, start with the whole thing. I mean, imagine it's a new set of words,
Oh,
new word.
right. So, what do you see here?
I see a car.
What is the first sound of car?
Ka.
Well done.
Thank
Good
you.
job. Now, what is the second picture that you see?
Apple.
Apple. Do you like apple?
Yes.
What is the first sound of apple?
Oh.
Try again. Apple.
So I hear a.
Well done.
Thank you. Okay.
What is the third picture that you see?
I see a bucket.
Try again. What else?
It could also be a tub.
Tub, right? So what is the first sound of tub?
Tub, tub.
Tub. Good job. So well done. High five is very important because I really like that part of an activity. So what word do you get when you add these sounds?
Ka, a, t. I can see those pictures. I'm deriving those sounds as I'm relating it, and add up to make cat.
Wonderful. Good job. I love it.
So this is how the process goes. So they have learned that how one child will ask a question and the other child will answer. Then for the next word, the child will ask the questions, the second child and the first child will answer, and they'll give each other a high five. And what we also learned, that they will say, if something goes wrong, try again, think harder, try again. There's another way. You don't tell the answer right away, you say try again, right? And this is something we teach the children. Very important that they learn these manners, how to work with each other as equals, not as children who are higher and lower. It's not like teacher and child. Teacher knows, child doesn't know. No. In this context, we are saying both are to be equal, right? So I've empowered Ria enough that now she can ask me questions and I can answer. And that's how the learning happens. So after the teacher-child demonstration, we do what's called child-child demonstration. This is one more chance to explain to the children what is their task with each other in a pair. So they have a whole bunch of words. They have maybe 9 pages of words that they're going to decode on their own without any other demos. So there are 2 demos. One is teacher-child demo, the other is child-child demo. So here again, I'll ask Ria, not myself. I'll say, Ria, pick any 2 names from this box of chits. She'll pick the 2 names. This is a child. And I will then read them out if they can't read on their own. Otherwise, Ria will read out, these 2 children, please come to the front. Ria will go and sit down. Now, these 2 children will do exactly what we did with the next word and the next word. So in the process, we have covered 4 words. 2 words we decoded and blended, and 2 words that the children are doing. So 4 words they practice with in the front. Now the class should know what their task is with each other, and they get going. They may begin on the first word, cat, that's okay, and then they'll continue on. We do not want teachers to come to the front and do demonstrations of every new word. And that happened in one of the campuses.
Yes.
Right? So teacher was teaching the old way. She thought she has to do demonstrate everything. No. Where's the discovery?
Exactly.
There's no discovery if you're teaching everything. Let them discover, let them make their mistakes, let them figure out sounds, and this is a better way to learn sounds. And we've seen that in the village context of government schools also, much better way to do sounds than a teacher sharing sounds. And teachers do share sounds, but sometimes it's not the same thing, right? So this is something that is working very powerfully. Now we'll do one more activity in English coming up here. So all of you in the participant group, you're invited to do this yourselves. Ria will read out the prompts at the bottom so we know what is our task. So this is again a module from our buddy books. It's called sentence making. Okay.
All right. So pair up. Take turns to make sentences using one word from each of the column A, B, and C. You can use any words from each of the columns. My dad makes dinner. My mom drives the car. Make up your own list of nouns and verbs in 3 columns as above and make new sentences of your own. The third prompt says, make up a prose like I live with my mother, father, sister, and Tommy, our pet dog. We like to ride in a car. When we go to the beach, Tommy likes to run after the wall. I think I saw a UFO once in my dream. There were many aliens. I also saw a monster once, but I was not scared. I like to play dash. Now you can fill it. I like to do fill in the blanks. My favorite subject is, my best friend is.
Okay, so we'll do the first part only.
Yes.
So since you cannot pair up, you're with mostly with yourselves. You can take turns with yourself to make sentences, nouns, verbs, noun sentences. So you got a list, a startup list. So try to make some and put them in the chat, please. Dog chases ball, Priyanka.
Like I can come up with a fish rides a bike.
So a monster runs in a UFO. The dog plays with a ball and monster runs with in a UFO. Very good. Keep it up, guys. Okay, so we can see that we have just unleashed a process of learning by themselves. This is where you can see the buddy books are very different because they are designed for children to take turns. It says pair up, take turns to make sentences using nouns, verbs, and nouns as given on those lists. Now, we're also saying in prompt number 2, as Ria so beautifully read out, we are saying that they can make up their own list. So they can add to the list, like nouns, they can continue with more words of their own. Verbs, they can write a whole bunch of new verbs, and then the nouns to list. So the idea is that children are creating and co-creating their own list. So home stretch becomes very easy. They've done this in the class and they stretch it at home. Now, this is different from, again, a teacher giving a list of words saying, make sentences out of these 5 words or 10 words. We don't need workbooks. This is another very, very important difference, that in PATH, typically, we do not need worksheets and workbooks. Our assessments are worksheets because we want children to feel, they're fun, easy to do. And even though they're difficult questions, more difficult than normal questions, the children are able to handle it joyfully and better. And so we don't want to set the bar lower. We want to set the bar higher. And we want all children to succeed and to do better than the grade level bar that we normally set. So it's no longer normal distribution curve we talked about at the beginning of the town hall. We're not talking about a normal distribution curve. What happens if all children are above grade level? Or let's say the majority of them, maybe barring 3 or 4 who are having some kind of special need. And those children also are doing far better in this environment. And here, as you can see, again, is an example of how children can create their own learning by themselves and with each other and stretch it at home. And they write a lot more in this process than they would write in the previous process. So any comments on this? Yeah, Priyanka says creative intellect. Ria, you want to say something about this?
Of course, here you see they're making sentences. Okay, we have one more comment by Sneha that it builds imagination. Of course, it does. So here you are allowing the child to, make sentences by themselves rather than just writing it on the board and where the child is just copying whatever it's written on the board. Here they're learning how to make sentences, especially when we talk about the third prompt here, where they have to make their prose. They have to make their own setting, a story out of it. So, you are allowing them to learn and to learn with their partner.
Yeah. So, and we are raising the bar each time with each of the prompts. And they're capable. That's what we have discovered. We need to unleash a process, and we need to provide that support that comes from working with a buddy as opposed to working on your own. So we've been used to the idea the teacher will tell and the children will individually do in the class. The teacher will collect a whole bunch of notebooks or worksheets. The teacher will correct it, give it back to them. We're saying, look, let's challenge all those notions. And without making it more difficult for anybody, in fact, on the contrary, making it a lot easier for everybody, and making sure that learning is unleashed far above our expectations till date. Okay, and let's see how the children are writing in the fun way with this system. So you can see there's a ton of writing that's going on. It's in the notebook, not on a worksheet. They can also color these things, and many of these you can't see, maybe all of them, but we know when we go into the classrooms, we see sample of their work all across the walls and in the corridors and in their notebooks. There's just a ton of work. Typically, in a year, children of the various grades are writing 3 to 5 times as much than they did in the past. And as far as correction is concerned, because what happens if you write more, the teachers have to correct more. So therefore, teachers don't encourage so much writing, or they give you writing that's exactly the same. So it's easy for the teacher to meander through it. And that we can understand that teachers have 40, 50, sometimes children, and to correct their work. So it is obviously a system that's not working for the teachers either. So we are saying, look, let's unleash a process of learning by each other. And even the writing, they correct each other's work. Then lots of questions arise. Well, how will they correct a prose? So you give a rubric on the board, and you take a few examples from the children's work and show how they can be improved. So you take a snapshot, you cast it on the screen, or otherwise you can write in your reflection registers. I saw these three types of problems that come up. Like they're not putting a capital at the beginning of a statement, they're not putting capitals in proper nouns, they're not putting full stop in the right places or the commas in the right places. This is where the teacher comes in to build context, right? So correcting each other's work after that, after I build the context, makes it easier. I can even correct my own work. And I think correcting your own work is the highest form of correction because you're learning right away and you are also critically engaging with your own work. And that is something we need to teach our children. This is a good skill for the future. Often we have people in our context who will mostly just write whatever they need to write. They'll not think about it. And right now, they will not even run it through AI. They're so super confident. And they bring it to you and you say, well, it's full of flaws. So children are not taught in our schools how to correct their own work, and they must. And so this is a skill in of itself that develops. Then the question comes often, as we will appreciate, that where's the time? We're all in a rush. We have to finish all that syllabus. So what are the
Absolutely.
conflicts that come up?
So much work for the teachers, and you all being educators, we do. So we all will agree to the fact that there's so much happening in the school. You will have to take care of the festivities, then you will have to correct all the notebooks and whatnot, exam paper and all of that. But when you are allowing the kid to correct themselves to help the other kid, your partner, कुछ तो burden कम होता है, right? थोड़ा तो burden कम होगा.
Actually, when I get a piece of work, however bad, I get going. Right. So it is easier for me to double check on children's learning by correcting once more what they have already corrected for each other. And that way I also pick up a little
Yes.
more. Like, okay, children didn't pick up the nuance of this or that. So I think it is all learning for everyone, including the children. Then I come back and revisit it. It's not like I don't deal with it. And this is something I also want to mention about the old mad cycle of assessments, where we're assessing the children. And after assessment, we're giving them a report card, right? The report card goes to the parent. Parent looks at it and takes, certain action or the other. Some parents will be kind, some will be unkind to the children. And what we're saying is, look, let the feedback be vastly different, which is informing parent where the areas of need are, because that's what they really need to know. And that you cannot do with a summative report. And summative reports have been holding back human potential for as long as we know.
Yes.
Because it says Ria is a good student, while let's say Sunita is not, right? So this kind of labeling that comes with or without saying, because many times the schools now, modern schools don't tell you that, but the child knows I'm not good enough. And that feeling is something we need to resist and in fact completely eliminate in our education system. Every child should feel, oh, I think I can do it, or I can get help from my partner, and I think I can do it the next time. Teacher's always there, of course, for me. My parents are there. Everybody's there to support me, but I can learn it. And that feeling is so much more powerful than saying I can't do it. Because I can't do it is a fixed mindset. And as Carol Dweck has so beautifully researched for all these years, I think she did 22 years of research before she wrote her book called Mindset. And it talks about two kinds of mindsets we have. One is a mindset that's called the growth mindset, and one is called fixed mindset. The moment I say Ria is the best student, I have created in her a fixed mindset. Is this going to help her? What's your guess? Is it going to help Ria to know she's the best student in the class, whichever way she finds out? Or is it better that she thinks of herself as in process, a person that can grow further? Which is better, a growth mindset or a fixed mindset in Ria, even though she's stopping? Yeah, Priyanka says growth, Kavya says growth, Kiran says growth, Bushra says growth. I think we will all agree. And so we are saying growth mindset. Yes, Nikhat, growth. We can all agree that a growth mindset is what we need to nurture. And our system is actually designed to create a fixed mindset, because we dole out averages. And averages are the label that the children wear on their head. And often it says L for loser. 80% of the kids are not in the top 20%. And those in the top 20% are not happy either, because they're not rank one. And Carol Dweck gives her own example where she was topping in everything she was doing in terms of her gymnastic classes. She was winning every award. And one day she didn't, and she was devastated. It killed her that I'm supposed to be the topper. I'm supposed to always win. What happened here? There's a lot of soul searching, and this is what led her to this whole idea of growth mindset. And I think it's such a powerful reminder that we should not label children either good or not so good. Right? You'll agree with that? Right. So we need to create that mindset. How do we do it? I mean, then the next question, how do we do it? It's not a given that this will happen. With our old ways of interacting, the old report cards, the way we share success and failure, the way we report at PTMs to the parents, all of it is very old style, and it is creating not growth minds. The opposite is creating fixed mindsets in our children. Can't do this, can't do that. While the research in neuroplasticity, the latest research shows that our brains grow. Even as an adult, our brains grow. Right? They're neuroplastic. The more we use them, the more they grow. Right? So that means we cannot label a child not intelligent. I mean, that's just such a horrible thing to do to a child, to say not intelligent. And unfortunately, we equate marks with intelligence. That's totally wrong, because marks could be low because of so many factors. For example, the cat died at home last night. My marks were poor. Or I'm not feeling good about how this class is running. I have a headache, I've got a physical ailment, I'm lacking motivation for this reason or that reason. There are a million reasons why a child doesn't do well, right? And on a sheet of paper in a pressure cooker condition of an examination. But does it mean they're less intelligent? I think I would differ here. Totally. What are your thoughts, Ria?
I absolutely agree to that. That pressure cooker thing that you just mentioned, that we are conditioned to work that way. But now the question is how? Like we have talked a lot, like what are the problems and how can it be solved? But the question is, how are we going to do that with path?
Okay, so it has to be pathway forward. And I think this is a subject for another town hall. We'll definitely bring it up. But there's a huge difference in the way assessments are seen, are conducted, and how reports are communicated, how PTMs are held. So we'll have that as another session for sure. We agree that this needs a change. Okay, now we are not going to do numeracy today. It'll be for another town hall. Some of you have already seen this work, but let us say that this is a vastly different way to do mathematics in path than we do in our previous educational versions, even the most modern of them. Here, you will not find these activities on the net, except perhaps in our own group. And a lot of the innovation has happened because we have decided to make sure that children learn by themselves. Now, that is a vastly different notion than teachers being the repository of knowledge and who are the ones who are going to teach. And in fact, I had this very interesting bash with 13 principals who had come from Cambridgeshire in the UK to India, and they were our guests at City Montessori School. So they had come and we were having this discussion. I said, well, children can learn by themselves. And the principal held my hand, one of them, and she said, no, dear, it doesn't work like that. You've got to first teach them, then they will learn. So you see, that was a nice challenge for me. And that's where it started to germinate in my mind. And we came up with lots and lots of ideas that children can do on their own. You just have to give them a starting point, a kickstart. It's like when you rev up your scooter or a motorcycle, right? That's the beginning. That's the only revving up, the demonstration. And then it goes. So we have MOUs for 35,000 schools.
Yes.
We have already been doing this pedagogy recently, only it's added up a lot more, but with just over 10,000 schools. So of the 35,000 MOUs, memorandums we have of understanding, which is like an agreement, of those we have already started in 10,000 plus schools in different geographies of India. And those are mostly primarily government schools. Of course, we are working with private schools now, including our own City Montessori School, which I think most of you might know this, or maybe not, but this is the biggest school in the world. It's in the Guinness Book of Records as having the largest number of children in a particular school. And it's all based out of Lucknow. It's not anywhere else. If you see City Montessori School, any other city, it's not ours. But City Montessori School here has been implementing Alpha since the very beginning after the government school results were so positive. That's in November of 2022. It's coming up to about 3 years and fourth academic session into which we are implementing this program. And we're seeing whopping results. And that's why it's continuing on, because, in private school, you can't take risks. You don't want children to walk out of the door. In fact, what is really, really interesting is that the retention has been much higher as per historical comparison in our grades 1 and 2. So grades 1 and 2, where we do this program, represent the highest percentage of on-roll students that have grown from between last year and this year. So we're talking about 80% of the on-roll increment. That is a combined impact of new admissions and who stayed back and people move for various reasons. 80% of that growth has been because of our PATH program. So I think schools can be confident. They can also come and see, talk to the teachers, talk to the parents, go to the homes, visit the children, see what's going on, and to convince themselves. So we tell our principals to be confident as they embrace this change, that this is not going to affect negatively. If anything, is going to affect highly positively all levels of expectations we have. That is delighting parents, not just making them happy, delighting them absolutely. And you saw some of the videos early on. Why will a parent not be delighted? So that, and then of course, teachers, that they should feel a lot more peace. Their roles be redefined. We call them galvanizers, not teachers, not facilitators, because if they facilitate, they're going to help. We're saying, no, don't help. Let them struggle. Struggle is part of the metamorphosis that we need to see. It's part of the growth. Of course, you don't want them to struggle for too long, for too much, but you give them a starting point that's okay to struggle. And they work it out amongst themselves. That's the best. Because in real life also, you're not going to run into the boss's office every single time there's a new problem. You're going to try and solve it with each other and by yourselves. So that's what we need to teach in our classrooms, what they need to grow with in their future life. And Alpha and this PATH paradigm is about that. So anyway, for mathematics, as I said, you will not find this. You'll not find this anywhere. This is an innovation that came, and all the things we are talking about, they came because we had a great desire to find an alternative path, and that would allow children to learn by themselves, and to counter that beautiful principal's view that if the teachers teach is when the children will learn. And also, teachers generally believe, they believe this. They also generally believe that they don't have the faith in children's capacity to learn by themselves. They feel that my children will not be able to learn by themselves. They also don't immediately believe that change is possible because they're so I'd say tainted by their experience. It's hard to see anything other than this. We are saying to the principals, to all of you, that allow us into your classes, because we can replicate that experience immediately for your children, and you can see that change. It's not easy to understand just verbalizing it. It has to be seen. We can do it with you. We can do it with your teachers. We can do it with your children, and you will see that difference right away. So here's mathematics. And in mathematics, we're learning once using matchsticks, or we don't give them matchsticks. We give them small sticks that have the head cut off. We give them these ice cream sticks. We give them bundles of ice cream sticks that represent 100. And so ice cream sticks represent tens. Hundreds are represented by the bundle of 10 ice cream sticks. Thousands, we are giving spoons. Of course, it can be any other material that can be used. Children at home become very creative. They use a variety of materials, spoons, knives, pencils. Even in the village context, they're using sticks from the nature. They're using pebbles or small pebbles, and they're using beans, etc. So they become very creative. They just have to assign them values. Like these are going to be, ones, these are going to be tens, these are going to be hundreds, these are going to be thousands. And they can, of course, do much more, 100,000, 10,000, then 100,000, then much more. And we also have a kinesthetic aspect to it. We're saying begin with the kinesthetic, right? So that is your, we do a snap for a 1, we do a clap for a 10, we do a shoulder tap for 100, we do a clap up for 1,000, we do cross our hands and bend down for 10,000. We do a silent clap with one hand for 1 lakh, 100,000, right? So we do it kinesthetically. I'm making a number for my partner. My partner's making a number for me. If I get it right, I get a high five, and vice versa. Or if I get it wrong, the prompt is what? Try again. Okay, so here we are. So I'm not going to go into the details of it, but there is the kinesthetic part. You can see represented here by pictures that are of snaps, claps, shoulder taps, and clap ups. Now you can see that this is a module. This is how module will look. Children know their task from the module. These are vastly different way of designing a book than the books that we have, even the best ones of them. They're not designed for the children. They're designed for the teacher to tell something to the children. Now, children do look at it, but I think vast majority of children only look at it in the classroom. But when they go home, they don't like to open it up. Right. By and large. I mean, there'll be some very studious kids who will, but by and large, they don't, because they're not written for them, even the best of them. So here's an example of how module will look, how visual it will be, how clear it will be, and children can use their own mental logic, God-given logic, to figure it out. For example, there are 5 matchsticks and it says 5 snaps and a 5 is written down the abstract form. 3 claps, 3 sticks, and the number 3 written there. So they can on their own surmise what it is, and we go beyond this to allocate 3 as a 30. So we do the expanded notation in the next few modules. And here children are doing their kind of own activities in pairs in all subjects, and they're using a variety of mediums to explain to each other and to learn with each other. Even the very little ones, like we're talking about 3-year-olds, 4-year-olds, they're learning in pairs. It takes time. We normalize the class differently because we don't normalize them to listen to us. Okay, everybody watch me, do as I say, which is the old normalization. We're saying, no. Everybody face each other, work with each other. Don't come to me. I'm not there. I sit on the side. I'm using my reflection register. I sometimes tiptoe around the class, but I'm not there. And if you have a problem, don't come to me. Go to another pair. So here children are learning life skills squarely. And I think this is a vastly different system, as you can tell. And they learn concepts like, these are girls from Himachal Pradesh, from a government school. And they're learning by themselves and with each other, but they're learning concepts like how to carry over. Why borrow? Why does it show as a cross out and a number here? And why does it show as in a circle as a carryover? So they learn all that by doing, and by doing a lot. They continue these activities at home and reinforce their own learning. Similarly, for multiplication and division, they're doing things on their own. So here's a video you can watch. I'll show just a little bit of it, not all of it.
Tanya, what number have you given to him?
Ma'am, the question is 1385
Multiplied by
multiplied by
3. Okay. So Shinoy, can you explain your number placement?
First, I have put 385.
Okay. And how many times have you placed the same number?
I have placed the times 3 times
Why?
because here is written 3.
Okay. So you are multiplying it 3 times. Okay. Now, what is the next step?
To add these
Do it. Show.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 7, 8, 9, 10.
Okay.
These I will give to back, and bank will give me 1.
Okay.
Will stick here.
Right. You will put it as carry. Okay. Then, how many ones are left then?
1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
Okay.
5
So,
ones.
can you write the answer in the ones column? Okay. So we have got we have got 5 ones in the ones column. Okay, now what about tens?
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 7, 8, 9, and 10.
Okay, now what will you do?
I will give these to the bank,
Hmm. And the bank will give you?
and bank will give me one bundle of
Ice cream sticks.
ice cream sticks
And you will put it in which column?
in 100 columns.
Okay. Now what about the leftover tens? Let's add them.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10.
Hmm. So we are going to.
Give these to bank.
Okay. So now you can use the word exchange. We can exchange it from the bank. Okay. Now what will the bank give you?
Bank will give me again one bundle of ice cream sticks.
That is hundreds. Okay. Now how many tens are we left with?
1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
Okay. So can you write the tens in the answer?
5.
Okay. So we have got 5 ones and 5 tens. Now let's count the hundreds.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. And
9 and
10.
So since we've reached 10, what we are going to do?
We will exchange this to the bank,
And the bank will give us?
and the bank will give us one spoon.
1 spoon is which counter?
1,000.
Right. Okay. Now how many hundreds are we left with?
100 left 1.
Okay. So write your answer there.
1,
10. Now how many thousands? Let's add the thousands column.
1, 2, 3, and the last one is 4.
Right. So answer is?
4. Tanya, the answer is 4,155.
Is it correct, Anya? Okay. Good.
It's also holistic education because children are learning in pairs, and therefore they are gaining in terms of collaboration. It's collaborative learning at the core. All activities all day long, they're working in pairs. Teachers empowering them, showing them how to work in a pair and how to learn and co-create learning by themselves. There's a lot of communication, as you saw. There was a teacher interacting with a child on mathematics, and the language was being used, and the child is practicing that language. Similarly, you saw the little girl that had, I think it was 34 minus 22 early on in a video. And she's at home, the father or the mother, their job has become that to take a video. These kids dress up and they want to be, video recorded. They send those videos to the teachers in the class groups, and the teachers give them a thumbs up and a heart, and the kids absolutely become theirs. It's just awesome to see that relationship
Confident they are.
develop. Yes.
How confident they are while expressing their thoughts and while doing all these calculations. Isn't it amazing?
And you see them practicing that language, which is so very important here as well, right? So they know, okay, how to describe what they've just done. A lot of kids know the
Exactly.
technique, but they can't describe what they've just done. So the child is able to say, this is 34, this is 22, I'm subtracting 22 from 34, this is this. And it's just so brilliant, the language part of it as well. And that's how they become good in their language. So when we say, okay, lot of schools want their children to speak well in English. Yeah, it begins right here. And they learn in the classroom, they communicate with each other, teachers there to give them new context, new language. And they, like we do a lot of role plays, and they're on the High Path app. Our app has a whole bunch of, I think, 225 role plays.
Wow.
So these kids are constantly practicing those role plays and develop very rich vocabulary. But those role plays are also on social emotional learning, on world citizenship, on diversity, on so many aspects that we don't cover normally. So the child says, I'm feeling sad, and so social emotional. And the partner will say, well, why are you feeling so sad today? Oh, because such and such happened. So there
Right.
is a communication, and you are giving them the language to start with, then they start developing their own language around it. Okay. You can see that the benefits of 1:1 learning is that we are learning also what we refer to here as the 4C skills, that is your collaboration, communication, critical thinking. In asking questions, they're learning critical thinking. They have to come down to the level of their partner, or rise up to the level of their partner. Both are very important skills that they need to learn. And that's creativity as well at the fore. So that's the fourth skill, as we refer to them in our context. And these are also the 4 21st century skills mentioned in the collaboration, communication, critical thinking, and creativity. We have added to that 4C traits because these are really, in the final analysis, not skills, they're sort of outcomes. That's what you are or who you are. So here we have, for example, the character of the child, that's who you are. So the idea that the children are uh, integrating, or this educational environment is integrating the 4C skills and the 4C traits, is far more powerful than having it as an add-on, which is what most schools invariably, unfortunately, have to do when they want to teach them these skills. And NEP says let them be integral. So, but how to do has been always a question mark. And here we have one path forward. There could be other ways to do it, but this is what we are doing, and it seems to be working magically. Okay, so here you can see the children are sharing their concern on the right side for the blue whale and how microplastic really affects their lives, and so many other accidents that happen when we're not caring of our seas and all the things we do knowingly, unknowingly to water. And here is also another one that is about the chimpanzees of the Congo and how they are suffering from the acts of man. So the children read stories. There's one big repository of 45 climate change stories, and that's also on the High Path app. And that is Tara and her magical world. So there's a grade 3 child called Tara, and she is going around the globe to different places where she finds them very attractive, very beautiful, but then she notices something is not working so well. She meets along the way climate activists, she learns about them. So it's a very positive, very upbeat way of presenting. The problem, then children then write their own reactions, they do their role plays. There are a lot of activities that are suggested, like prompts and triggers at the bottom of each of those stories. For example, in the whale context, the story is a very short 4-page story, at the end of which there is an activity in which the pairs will work. One is a researcher and one is the whale. So I have to ask whale a question. I have to speak in whale language. And the researcher will have to note down the troubles that I'm facing, and vice versa. So there are roles for both the children. And this is really, really awesome. So it's an education, as you may agree, of body, mind, heart, and spirit, in which nature is also fully integrated, or as much as possible, given that we are in concrete jungles of our cities, but to the extent possible. So experiences build connections better in minds than the other way around. And so HC skills are fundamentally important. We also do feedback in a different way, as we'll discuss it properly in the next town hall. So there's instant feedback, there's child-led feedback, ongoing error correction. There are assessments that will empower the children. You can see colorful, beautiful worksheet-based assessments that the children are doing. They are different from normal assessments in the way they're designed also. And the results are very surprising. We have done this difference in difference analyses, which is a statistical analysis also. But if you see just in terms of marks, the children who did alpha versus those who did not do alpha, there's a big difference in the percentage of marks and the raw scores. And the smart tools that we're using also, there's a lot of evidence. We have captured it in our books called Disruptive Literacy and Alpha. Both books are available on Amazon, and they've been published by Bloomsbury India. One in 2022, one in 2024. And there's also on the very left, you can see a book, a cover, which is about rebuilding resilient education systems after the COVID-19 pandemic. This has a chapter 8, it's a 600-page book written by Harvard Graduate School of Education, the professor Fernando Ramos, who works there, and his team. And in that, chapter 8 covers our Alpha program in Shamli. And also chapter 10 covers our work in Maldives, where the government of Maldives adopted this program for the whole country. And we're going to see more of that. We are working in many other countries in small research pilots, which will definitely lead to much bigger take-ups. Loads of videos here. I'm not going to be able to show you these right now, but suffice it to say, the kids are unleashing a world of learning on their own, by themselves, empowered by this process. So, okay, I'm not going to show these to you, but we'll just assume this is working very well. There's just a lot of individual children references and evidences. Okay, so path, we can agree, is where every child succeeds more, every teacher also succeeds more. There's been a lot of impact also in City Montessori School, we're working in a big way. So the books are different, as I mentioned to you. The High Path app is there. There's also ongoing research, teachers' own, and Getty is the Global Education and Training Institute. We call it Getty. So I is an E here in the sense of how it's pronounced, the igloo E. So Getty is the organization Global Education and Training Institute, which is primarily a training institute as well as research institute. So a lot of what you're seeing here as PATH program has come from research. And it's not just a notion in our heads, it's real and working. So we have solutions that are foundational, that is pre-primary to grade 2. There's elementary grades 3 to 5, and upper that's 6 to 8. That's coming. And it has a lot of ebooks and alongside the physical books that are, not very thick, we hope, and not very heavy. We split them into 2 parts so that the children don't have to carry a big burden every day to school. There are no workbooks, they're only notebooks. So it reduces the package size, and they're very affordable with strong school margins. And as you normally get, we're not reducing on any of those. And we're offering a lot of other tools that are available for the class. We're offering assessments, for example, and so forth, and diagnostic reports. So this is where I'd like to summarize and end. We want to thank you very much for being here with us.